I've been with Coinbase almost a year now. Actually, tomorrow will be my 1-year anniversary. So before I start, I'd like to give a plug to Coinbase. We actually have Brian Armstrong, the CEO here, and about 10 other employees here. So if you want to join like the coolest Bitcoin company ever, talk to one of them after the talk. Okay, you guys ready? So I'm actually here to talk about Litecoin today. So I created Litecoin about 3 years ago. So who here has not heard of Litecoin? One person. Who here actually owns some Litecoin right now? Pretty cool. Who's mining Litecoins right now? Cool. So for those that don't know, I'll talk a little bit about what Litecoin is. So it's an open source fork of Bitcoin. It has 4 times as many coins, 84 million Litecoins in total as opposed to 21 million Bitcoins. And confirmations are 4 times faster. So it's about 2.5 minutes on average as opposed to 10 minutes for Bitcoins. And it uses a different proof of work. It uses script proof of work. And it's commonly known as silver to Bitcoin's gold. It was launched on October 13 of 2011. And currently it's about, I guess today it's only $7.50, something like that, and almost $3 million market cap. So a lot of people don't know that Litecoin is not the first alternative to Bitcoin. There's actually, if I remember, there's about, like 7 different altcoins that came out before Litecoin. And they all did something a little bit different. But the reason why I created Litecoin is because I felt like those coins really didn't do a good job of creating an altcoin. So for lots of reasons, they're not launched fairly. They're basically launched by people who are greedy and wanted to kind of strike it rich. They didn't get early enough into Bitcoin, and they want to create something and just pre-mine a lot and then launch it out there and hope that whatever they have will make them rich. So I decided to create a new altcoin. So the things I focused on was these 5 things. I want to make sure it has a good name. Like some of the coins previously were like IO coin or Tenebricks. It's names that you can't really pronounce, and it just, you don't remember when someone tells you the name of the coin. And then number 2, I wanted something that has good branding marketing. So when someone tells you like Litecoin, you remember it, and when you tell other people, it kind of resonates. Third thing is I wanted to attract miners. So one thing about a lot of the previous altcoins is it was using the same proof of work. So it had to compete with Bitcoin for miners. So I wanted to create something that actually did not compete with Bitcoin, so it can survive on its own. And then number 4 is a fair launch. I'll talk a little bit more about how I did that. But a lot of people care about having like a fair coin. They don't want to kind of mine the coin or support the coin and just make someone else rich. And then lastly, I didn't want to change anything that's not broken. So Satoshi created something really amazing out there, Bitcoin, and there's no reason to change it unless, well, there's a lot of things I left it as it is because it just works. So the name, Litecoin. So what I wanted to create was actually just a light version of Bitcoin. I wanted something that has faster transactions, lower fees, and lastly, Litecoin.org was not taken. So. Number 2, branding. So I actually came up with the branding silver to Bitcoin's gold before I even came up with the name Litecoin. So I was, previously I've traded commodities like gold and silver futures, and I know a lot about gold and silver history. So I actually saw when I first found out about Bitcoin, I realized it's like a better version of gold. It's like digital gold. So I want to create digital silver. I want to create something that is paired up with Bitcoin. So I want to create silver to Bitcoin's gold. So silver actually worked amazingly at helping Litecoin achieve success. It actually works on a psychological level, and I can think of 5 different reasons why it works. So I'll go over them. So the first thing is people are used to like the gold, silver, and bronze medal for Olympics. So when you talk about silver medal, everyone knows it's like number 2, right? So when I launched Litecoin, there were all these other altcoins out there. But I wanted to somehow like give people an impression that Litecoin should be number 2. So this works really well, right? It's number 2 behind Bitcoin. And second part is the currency. Litecoin, silver and gold has been used throughout our history as currency. It's like the main two metals that's been used as currency. And I wanted Bitcoin and Litecoin to be the cryptocurrency, the currency of the future, right? Number 3, it's valuable. Gold and silver are like two metals that people use for jewelry because they're valuable. So when you talk about Litecoin, you think about silver, you think like Litecoin is valuable. Number 4, it's actually cheaper. So Litecoin, silver is commonly known as poor man's gold. So what I want to do was create something that you feel like it's cheaper to own. So it's kind of psychological, it's silly, but people think that Bitcoin at $6 million is too expensive. And Litecoin is only $10. So they can't afford Bitcoin, but they can afford to get some Litecoins. And then lastly, silver is paired with gold all the time. So whenever people talk about gold and silver, they talk about gold and silver together, and that's what I wanted to kind of embed in people's mind, that you talk about Bitcoin and Litecoin together. Like if an exchange supports Bitcoin, why does it not support Litecoin? If a wallet has lets you hold Bitcoin, why not Litecoin also? So, and another thing about silver is, once I put it out there that Litecoin is silver to Bitcoin's gold, there's no other coins can come out and say that their coin is silver, right? Because obviously Litecoin is silver. And I mean, they could always come out and say they're copper, but who the hell wants to be copper? So third thing is the different proof of work. So I don't know if you guys have known, like when Namecoin came out, it uses the same proof of work as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin miners would start mining Namecoin when it was more profitable and jump back to Bitcoin when it was not. So it causes the Namecoin like difficulty to like go up and down in a roller coaster kind of fashion. And I didn't want that for Litecoin. I wanted to not compete with Bitcoin for miners. So at that point, Tenebricks was actually the first coin that used script proof of work, and I stole that idea from Tenebricks. The idea is that Bitcoin at that time was being GPU mined. So I wanted to create something that was only CPU mineable, so that miners can mine Bitcoin with their GPUs and Litecoin with their CPUs. So script proof of work being memory hard provided that. And as Bitcoin moved to ASIC mine, Litecoin became GPU mine. So it still stayed not competing with Bitcoin for miners. And now there's ASICs for Litecoin. So it worked out really well. So about the fair launch. So a lot of the new coins these days, there's like 1,000 altcoins. They all copied a lot of Litecoin and Bitcoin, but one thing they didn't copy is actually the fair launch part. So what I did was I released the source and binary of Litecoin a week before the actual launch. So everyone can download, compile for their platform, Windows, Mac, or Linux, or whatever, and run the miner on testnet. So they can mine testnet blocks before the actual launch. The launch time was selected by a forum poll to be as fair as possible. And then the Genesis block was withheld by me so that everyone's just mining on testnet. And at the launch time, all I did was I released 2 lines, those 2 lines you see up there. And those are just a config change. So all you had to do was stop the Litecoin D process, edit the config file, add those 2 lines in, restart Litecoin D, and all of a sudden your Litecoin software will be mining on the mainnet. So when I launched it, I didn't pre-mine. Well, actually, I mined a Genesis block and 2 other blocks just to make sure everything works. Launched it, and then like thousands of miners jumped in and mined at the same time. So it was well publicized as like a really fair coin, trying to be silver to Bitcoin's gold. So a lot of people jumped in and mined. I think the next block I mined was like block number 34, and then like 150 and so on. So it was as fair as I can make it. And these days, these altcoins are launched like secretly or pre-mined or whatnot, just to try to kind of make the developers rich. And then lastly, I wanted to create Bitcoin Lite, right? I want to keep it as close to Bitcoin as possible, following its footstep. Bitcoin is kind of just paving the way, and Litecoin just kind of riding right behind Bitcoin. And I wanted to complement Bitcoin, right? It's not trying to compete with Bitcoin, so you can use both Litecoin and Bitcoin at the same time. I imagine a world where you would use Bitcoin for more expensive stuff and Litecoin for cheaper things, right? So being a decentralized blockchain, there's like a scaling issue, right? So at a certain point of time, fees will be too high for smaller transactions on the Bitcoin network. So that's where Litecoins and other altcoins can come in and provide a network for smaller transactions. So I want to talk about metrics of success, right? So how do you define whether an altcoin or like Bitcoin or Litecoin, another coin, is successful? So 5 things I thought about. One is network security. You want to have a coin that is really secure from attacks. Number 2 is market capitalization. You want to have a coin that has a lot of value, right? Because if you want the currency to be used by a lot of people, it has to have a lot of value. Number 3 is exchange liquidity. You want a coin that it's easy to get in and out without causing the market to crash, right? A lot of these smaller altcoins have exchange liquidity of like $1,000. So if you try to buy $1,000, you double the trade volume of that coin for a day. And then number 4, obviously, a currency is used for paying merchants, right? So you want a lot of merchant support. And number 5 is, how is a coin used, right? So in the end, you want to be able to, you want to be able to transfer money between people, right? That's the end goal of any currency, right? It's for transferring money between parties. So you look at network security. Because of script ASIC, the hash rate for Litecoin has increased by 25 times over the past year. And if you look at these are other script coins, it dwarfs anything else out there. And it's just climbing like crazy, and everything else is kind of dropping. Another graph I can show you is, this is from like a week ago. Another graph is this. This is the script hash power of all the script coins. So on the left is Litecoin. The next coin is Peseta coin, which is a merged mine coin. So miners mine Litecoin and Peseta coin at the same time. So that's why it has a high hash rate, kind of like Namecoin and Bitcoin. And then there's Dogecoin, which is tiny, and then everything else you can't even see. So market capitalization. Litecoin has been in a lull recently. Price has dropped quite a bit. But if you look at like past history, like last year, it increased 5 times, right? Compared to the price last year. And it's really similar to Bitcoin, right? It shoots up and then like kind of falls down a little bit and then goes for next high, which is higher than the previous high. So I think it's doing pretty well. It's about 1/30th of Bitcoin's market cap. Third, exchange liquidity. So this is from like about a week ago. Litecoin exchange liquidity is about 1/5 of Bitcoin, but it's like 5 times greater than anything else out there. So at that time, Darkcoin had the highest liquidity. Today, it might be some other coin. It's basically the latest pump and dump for the altcoins. And sometimes Litecoin trade volume actually like rivals that of Bitcoin. I've seen charts where the Litecoin bubble is actually bigger than Bitcoin. And then number 4 is merchant support. So this is coinmap.org. This shows Bitcoin and Litecoin merchants throughout the world. There's about 446 merchants last I checked for Litecoin. And for Bitcoin, there is about 5,000. So it's about 1/10 the size of Bitcoin. And compared to like 2 years ago, Bitcoin had less than 500. Bitcoin had 100 or so merchants. And with like merchant processors like Goldcoin accepting Litecoin, it makes it really easy for merchants to accept Litecoin in addition to Bitcoin everywhere. And then lastly, currency usage. So this is a chart of cent in US dollar amount. So how much money in US dollar amount is sent on the Litecoin network and the Bitcoin network. So you can't see, but Bitcoin on that day, about $300 million was sent. For Litecoin, it was about $56 million, so about like 1/5. And then the next highest one was Dogecoin, which is 1.8, which is like tiny compared to Litecoin. So to recap, like Litecoin has really succeeded beyond my wildest imagination, right? It's a solid number 2 behind Bitcoin. The network security blows away all the other script coins. Market cap is 1/30 of Bitcoin, but it's like much bigger than anything else out there. Exchange liquidity, the same thing. Merchant support, the same, and currency usage, as you've seen, it's like 30 times greater than Darkcoin and Dogecoin. So yeah, I would say it's been very successful. And then lastly, I want to talk about stages of cryptocurrency users. So I've thought about this a bit. Like, there's cryptocurrency kind of evolves over time. Like initially, it's a miners stage where all your users are miners. And then once you once you get popular, it becomes a speculative stage where there's a lot of trade volume. People are buying and selling your coin a lot. And then for number 3, it's merchants, right? Then you start having merchants supporting the coin, accepting the coin, exchanging for US dollar, or just even accepting the coin directly. And then after merchants are there, then you will see like mass market consumers. You'll see people actually like your mom and dad actually using Bitcoin and Litecoin to pay for stuff online or in person. And then lastly, we're all going to be astronauts. So how does this like compare to what I talked about previously, right? So miners provide security, which is required for a current cryptocurrency. Speculators provide liquidity. Merchants provide acceptance of the currency. Consumers provide usage. And then after that, we're all going to the moon. So where's Bitcoin in this chart? So Bitcoin, like recently, Coinbase announced that Dell is supporting Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, I think, is smack in the middle of the merchant stage, where larger and larger merchants are going to start accepting Bitcoin, and before you know it, we're going to get into mass market consumer stage where your mom and dad will actually use Bitcoin. So where's Litecoin? Litecoin, I think, is still on the speculative stage. The trade volume is really high. It's very liquid. But merchant support is just starting to get there, right? We have like e-gifter, or you can even buy Hustler subscriptions if you want with Litecoin. And how about the other altcoins? I think the other altcoins are all in the miner stage. They're all still fighting for hash rate. Their network is not secured like Litecoin is right now, so they're all fighting each other to try to get all the GPUs who mine them, fighting for hash rate, and then they're getting towards the speculative phase where people are actually trading them a lot. So why Litecoin, right? So people are saying like Litecoin is supposed to be like ASIC resistant, so it is still resistant, but now there's ASICs, right? So I think the reason for Litecoin is it has faster confirmation, has lower fees, and I think the main reason is it's an alternative secured blockchain. Right, Bitcoin has the SHA-256 blockchain. Litecoin has a script blockchain. So it's kind of a backup. It provides robustness, and it also defeats the single point of failure of Bitcoin. Right, so like if someone wants to take down Bitcoin, they could buy enough ASIC SHA-256 ASIC hardware and try to 51% attack Bitcoin. But if someone wanted to take down all the cryptocurrency, they would have to do that with Bitcoin's blockchain, the script network for Litecoin, and all these other smaller altcoins that's on a different network, right? So that provides robustness. So people tell me sometimes like, there's only one internet, right? Why do you need more than one internet? Well, my answer to that is cryptocurrency actually provides a backup kind of for free, because the miners will mine the blockchain and provide security without any kind of cost. So imagine if there is a second internet where the internet backbone is provided for free, right? Then like countries like Egypt that want to take down their internet, they have to take down all the different internets, right? They can't block communication like they did a couple years ago, where they just took down the internet and no one can like tweet anything, right? So this is the same thing but for currency, right? Someone actually took down the Bitcoin blockchain. You can still pay in a decentralized fashion using Litecoin, even if Bitcoin has issues or has a hiccup. So I think that's a huge value add. And then lastly, what's next? And I think the answer is pretty simple. So, questions? Yeah.
What do you think is the future of all the other altcoins?
I think there's going to be, so altcoins will always exist, but I think like for useful currency, there's going to be maybe like 3 that's going to provide like the really useful usage of people spending money, right, buying stuff. So we don't know. I think Litecoin is a pretty strong number 2 contender right now. We don't know what the third one will be. And then the rest of the altcoins provide kind of like an experimental value where they can try out new things, and if anything works, it can be bubbled up to the top, right?
What's your opinion on Ethereum?
My opinion on Ethereum, I think it's very interesting the way they using decentralized network for computation. So it's still new, right? They haven't really implemented what's implemented it yet, so we're still waiting to see. But like the way they're kind of doing the crowd sale might be troublesome because they might like raise a lot of money, and a lot of people buying it right now might lose a lot of money. So I don't know, and it might not be 100% legal, but I'm not a lawyer. Yeah.
What's your favorite altcoin with shipped features?
With what features?
Features that work that are on paper. Like, what's your favorite altcoin that like has shipped what they said they would?
Can I say Litecoin?
Okay, other than Litecoin. I should have seen that coming.
Other than Litecoin, I think Next is pretty interesting. So yeah, it has a lot of features. And the only thing I don't like about Next is the way it's launched, right? Yeah. So Next was like 70 people or something like that holds all of Next initially, and they're like selling Next to people. So they, like if Next becomes really popular, they're gonna be like super rich. There's gonna be like the 70 most powerful people in Next community, I guess. Yeah.
When is Litecoin going to be accepted on Coinbase? What can you try and...
Do you see the XOR there? You can ask Brian afterwards. Yeah.
Is Litecoin actively being developed, and like, you know how Bitcoin's being developed and there's new features or whatever? How does Litecoin like also have that?
Litecoin is being actively developed. It's not, unfortunately, like it's kind of hard to find good developers for Litecoin. People want to work on Bitcoin, or they want to work on like pump and dump coins so they can get rich. So it's hard to entice good developers to work on Litecoins because it's kind of boring, right? It's like number 2. So, but yeah, it's being actively worked on, and the good thing is it can like pull all the good stuff from Bitcoin, and we can just work on some of the more innovative stuff for Litecoin. Okay, one more? Yeah.
What do you think Litecoin needs in terms of marketing? You just said it's a clear number 2, so people don't really, whether it's developers or people who want to use the currency, why choose Litecoin? Like what does Litecoin need in terms of marketing?
So Litecoin, like the future I see is Litecoin will be used for like smaller transactions, right? So the Bitcoin fees will get high enough where you'll see that it will cost too much to buy like coffee with Bitcoin, where you can do it with Litecoin. In terms of like how to market that, I guess we're still working on that. There's the Litecoin Association that's doing a lot of work with marketing and branding of Litecoin, and recently released like a new video working on a website. But yeah.